That we probably didn't have our shooter in custody from that moment. I asked dispatch to get on the camera system and to see if anybody was on top of the Bluesky building during the time of the incident.
Compelling testimony today. We are getting our first look at some of the evidence prosecutors say they have in Tyler Robinson's murder case. Thanks so much for joining us for 2 News at 6 tonight. I am live outside of Provost's 4th District Court, where I sat through those hearings today, nearly 8 hours of them. This for the case of Tyler Robinson, 23 years old from southern Utah, charged with the murder of Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist. It was a busy day in the courtroom. There was a lot of security there, dozens and dozens of officers on the outside and inside, including the Secret Service. Again, this is going to be a possibly week-long preliminary hearing for Tyler Robinson, who is 23 years old. Today, we also saw in court for the first time today Charlie Kirk's parents and also his widow, Erica. Both have left the courthouse for the day after a long day of hearings. I'm sure a very emotional day for them. They sat right behind Tyler Robinson, who is accused of taking Erica's husband's life. And again, his parents there in court for the first time, too, seeing this man who they believe killed their son. Here's what happened in court today. Prosecutors are trying to convince a judge they have enough evidence to go to trial and seek the death penalty. All week long, both the prosecution and defense are set to provide that evidence. If the judge allows the case to proceed, Robinson will then have a chance to finally enter his own plea of guilty or innocent.
We know from the UVU footage that the person we believe to be Mr. Robinson had an interaction with law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And a short period after that, the vehicle comes to that house, and some additional evidence that was collected from cell phone data and things indicated that Mr. Robinson was in the area, and we were able to locate the footage of his vehicle on that Ring doorbell camera.
That was DPS agent Hull. He was there talking for the first time today about new evidence. That was Ring doorbell footage for some people who lived just off the UVU campus. They had what they believed to be Tyler Robinson and his car that is very easily identifiable by the rims, especially on those wheels. They say that he was there the next morning around 12:38 in the morning, parking his car, getting out, and then getting back into it. So again, a lot of evidence introduced in court today, a lot of that being video evidence in this case. Also in the courtroom today, and the reason for a lot of that security was Donald Trump Jr., the president's son. He was there today. I spoke to him for a few minutes, mostly off the record, but he did tell me he wanted to be there to support a friend. Charlie Kirk was a longtime friend of his. If you remember back to his father's first presidential election, Charlie Kirk, a young man at the time, started working for Donald Trump Jr. They quickly realized that he had talent, he had a lot to offer their campaign, and he was brought into their family like one of their own. Well, speaking of those hearings today, Ariel Harrison has been paying attention to what was heard today. A lot going on, slow at times as they were going through the procedural process. We did hear from 2 police officers today.
Yeah, a lot less windy inside, I'm
Yes.
sure, so excuse us. But yeah, they called 2 witnesses to the stand today as the state laid out their case before the judge. The first was a former UVU police officer by the name of Chris Bagley, who testified about responding from a law enforcement perspective after Charlie Kirk was shot. He described hearing that gunshot, seeing Kirk fall, and also the evidence that investigators found on the roof where they believe that gunfire came from. Now, the second witness called to the stand was a Utah Department of Public Safety agent, like Heidi mentioned, David Hull, who helped lead the investigation. He testified also and said investigators reviewed hours of surveillance video from UVU as they worked to identify the person on the roof where the shots were fired. He said investigators found Robinson had been on campus 4 times that day. He also testified about the medical examiner's findings in the case. Let's take a listen.
In that report, what is the stated cause of death?
It was stated as a murder.
And manner of death?
It was a gunshot wound to the neck.
I object. It's not stated as a murder. I believe it's stated as a homicide, which is an important distinction.
Judge, I'll go back and correct that.
All right, so I'm going to sustain. Well, first of all, let me look at the report. I need to see that section. I need to be able to draw my own conclusion.
Now, like we just heard in
that little bit we heard from court, a lot of the afternoon was spent on going back and forth about evidence, how it would be submitted, if at all, into the court. So I thought that was interesting to show people if they weren't listening in live. Also, we know that the judge did block at least one video from being admitted as evidence because it apparently had been changed by someone who was not able to testify.
Yeah, and that was the interesting part. They ended up wrapping up court a little bit earlier today. That one video is actually 10 to 16 hours, they said, of what they believe Tyler Robinson and the time he spent on campus. The prosecution laying out their case saying that they saw him appear 4 different times, and over that time, of all the video they had of him, they said that they have video of him from 10 to 16 hours, but some of that video they zoomed in from court and put circles around it, and the judge said unless it was the raw, real, original video, he was not going to admit it. So interesting watching all of this play out today.
And lots of time if you think about that, 16
Absolutely.
to 17 hours.
And we know there's going to be a lot more of this to come. There's at least 2 more police officers, and Agent Cole will be on the stand again tomorrow. A little windy out here, so we apologize if you're listening from home with the wind right now. Ariel, thank you very much. She'll be down here all week long listening to these hearings as well. We want to show you some other video of Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, entering the courtroom for today's hearing. Security was obviously very tight here. They rushed her inside. Charlie's parents, Catherine and Robert, also in town as well. As they were walking into court today, when I was inside the courtroom, I saw Erica and her mother-in-law walk into the courtroom holding hands together and emotionally supporting each other as they walked into that courtroom. Tears were shed before even the court process started today. Both are expected to be here throughout the entire week. Now, the family did release a statement before the hearings today on social media. They said, "Every court proceeding serves as a painful reminder of his death and the loss that has irrevocably impacted our lives and also the lives of his children. Out of respect for the judicial process, we will not be commenting further at this time. We ask for continued privacy as we navigate this process and the immense grief that goes with it." Now, again, there was a lot of added security today, a large gathering of media here and extra court watchers. Kristen McPeak was here today as well. She was speaking to people outside the courthouse, many of them who'd gotten here overnight at like 1, 2, 3 in the morning, who wanted to be here and be inside the courtroom today.
There is a large security presence here, and that's all due to the heightened sensitivity of the case. No phones or electronic devices are allowed in the courtroom. Now, people here I spoke to, they say that they want transparency in this court case. Jan Eyring is from Highland.
So, with his death, it's a great loss.
She came to Provo hoping to see evidence laid out in the courtroom herself.
I just want the truth and was hoping some of the evidence that we present today would fill in, because they sort of blocked publicizing some of the evidence right there after a few days and weeks.
Showing up a little after 8 this morning, she says she wasn't here early enough to get a spot to go inside. For today, she'll be tuning into live streams.
I guess I might try to come again to one of the other hearing dates as time goes on.
And there are 14 seats inside the courtroom. It's available to the public. I'm told that people were here very early this morning, hours before the courthouse opened at 8 o'clock to get a seat. In Provo, Kristen McPeak, KUTV 2 News.
Kristen, thank you. Happening right now, Jim Spiewak is talking to a defense attorney about what we saw play out in the court today. If this is something that we would normally see, it was definitely a long, drawn-out day with a lot of back and forth from both sides of what evidence could be entered in. The defense today arguing hearsay for a lot of it, saying that it shouldn't be allowed because the witnesses were not there. There is a different standard for this procedure for probable cause when you're going through the preliminary hearing than when you're actually at trial, but it did slow things down. A lot of questions today. You can keep watching this conversation. It's on the 2 News YouTube page right now. We'll have the very latest on the preliminary hearings for Tyler Robinson during the news on KUTV.com and also on the 2 News mobile app.